Imagine cruising down a sun-soaked highway in the 1970s, wind whipping through wide panoramic windows, the road humming beneath a sleek fiberglass body that feels more like a spaceship than a camper. That's the GMC Motorhome, a machine so revolutionary it seemed ripped from the pages of a sci-fi novel. Built by General Motors from 1973 to 1978. This 23 or 26-foot beast wasn't just an RV, it was a bold statement of engineering genius with front-wheel drive borrowed from the Oldsmobile Tornado, independent rear air suspension adapted from city buses, and a low-profile design that hugged the ground like nothing else on the market. Praised for its smooth handling, luxurious interiors, and futuristic aesthetics, it promised a new era of mobile living. But here's the mystery that still haunts enthusiasts today. If it was truly 30 years ahead of its time, why did GM kill it after just 6 short years? As one owner recalled in a 1977 Motorhome Life magazine interview, "It's the only RV I've ever owned that felt like it was designed for people, not just for camping." Stick around, because by the end of this part, you'll see the cracks forming with uncover the shocking decisions that sealed its fate. The RV boom sets the stage. The early 1970s. RV boom set the stage for something extraordinary. With post-war prosperity fueling family road trips and disposable incomes on the rise, Americans flocked to the open road, pushing annual motorhome sales into the hundreds of thousands. Smaller companies dominated, slapping boxy bodies onto truck chassis, creating top-heavy beasts that swayed like drunken sailors on highways. General Motors, the automotive giant, saw an opportunity to disrupt it all. In 1972, they committed to building a complete in-house motorhome, the only time a major car maker ever did that. Drawing from their Tornado's front-wheel drive and a 455 cubic inch V8 engine paired with a 3-speed automatic transmission, GM crafted a vehicle with a flat floor, low center of gravity, and panoramic views that made every drive feel like an adventure. Interiors boasted full kitchens, bathrooms, and plush seating in packages like Palm Beach and Eleganza, with shag carpets and coordinated fabrics evoking a groovy rolling condo. Marketing positioned it as a lifestyle icon, perfect for coast-to-coast travels without sacrificing home comforts. Owners raved about its aircraft-inspired fiberglass and aluminum construction, which reduced weight and improved fuel efficiency compared to clunky competitors. It turned heads at RV shows and even popped up in pop culture, symbolizing freedom and innovation. Tensions beneath that shiny exterior, tensions started bubbling up fast. First, the integration of advanced tech brought unforeseen headaches, while the front-wheel drive eliminated the drive shaft for a smoother ride. It relied on proven GM components that weren't originally designed for heavy RV duty. Early adopters noticed the 455 V8, though powerful, guzzled fuel at around 10 to 12 miles per gallon, a stat that felt acceptable in a booming economy but hinted at vulnerability. As reported in original GM brochures, the tandem rear axles with airbags provided unmatched stability. Yet adapting bus tech to consumer vehicles meant sourcing parts that weren't always readily available, frustrating mechanics and owners alike. Then came the market pressures, escalating like a storm on the horizon. Traditional RVs from third-party builders were cheaper to produce, undercutting GM's premium pricing. GM had to send many units to upfitters like Coachman or Winnebago for custom interiors, adding complexity and costs that ate into profits. Enthusiast forums later highlighted how this reliance created inconsistencies. Some interiors felt luxurious, others mismatched, eroding the seamless vision. GM promised corporate drama snowballs. The problems didn't stop there. They snowballed into internal corporate drama. GM's massive organization, segmented by divisions like Chevrolet and Cadillac, meant the motorhome project lacked the clout to secure ongoing resources. By the mid-1970s, engineering focus shifted toward fuel-efficient cars amid rising global competition from Japan and Germany. The motorhome, tied to the Tornado's drivetrain, became a niche outlier in a lineup prioritizing volume sellers. Production? At the Pontiac, Michigan plant competed for space with high-demand trucks and vans. As GM invested in downsized models like the Chevrolet Chevette, This wasn't just logistical friction, it bred frustration among the passionate team behind the motorhome, who saw their innovative baby sidelined. And lurking in the background was the cultural pushback, while baby boomers embraced the RV lifestyle. Not everyone warmed to GM's futuristic design. Some critics dismissed it as too radical, preferring familiar boxy builds. These escalating tensions, technical quirks, market undercutting corporate politics, and shifting tastes painted a picture of a revolutionary product fighting an uphill battle from day one. A fleeting sense of triumph for a moment, it seemed like GM had cracked the code. Sales held steady, with glowing reviews praising the dual air conditioning system, one dash-mounted for the driver, another roof unit for the cabined modular layouts that let owners customize like never before. The vehicle's appearance in nationwide TV commercials showcased its sleek lines and self-contained luxury, capturing America's imagination and building a loyal base. Clubs like the Family Motor Coach Association sprang up, organizing rallies, where owners shared stories of cross-country trips, crediting the motorhome with strengthening family bonds. It felt like resolution. GM's boldness was paying off, redefining the industry with a vehicle that drove like a luxury car and lived like a mobile resort. But dig deeper, and contradictions emerge. Fuel efficiency claims masked growing concerns. As the 1973 oil embargo loomed, spiking prices and exposing the V8's thirst, internal memos, echoed in historical accounts, revealed the motorhome's low-volume production couldn't justify the plant space amid GM's pivot to efficiency. What looked like triumph was fragile, built on shifting sands. The cliffhanger quicksand then, the timing couldn't have been worse. Just as the motorhome hit its stride, the 1973 oil crisis exploded, sending shockwaves through the auto world. But it gets even worse. Internal decisions were brewing that no one outside GM saw coming. What if the very innovations that made it legendary also sowed the seeds of its downfall? Hang on, we'll reveal the insider truths that changed everything. And why this ahead of its time marvel vanished almost overnight. Unraveling the dream, machine. The GMC Motorhome was a rolling revolution, a 1970s dream machine with front wheel drive magic, air suspension, smoothness, and interiors that whispered luxury on every highway curve. But as that oil crisis hit in 1973, the cracks widened, and what seemed like a triumph started unraveling. This isn't the full picture yet. The real insider truths peel back layers of corporate secrets and market betrayals that explain why this beast, 30 years ahead, with its fiberglass curves and panoramic bliss, vanished like a ghost. Let's dive into the revelations that everything. Starting with the harsh reality, GM hid behind those glowing brochures, chained to a dying era. First big discovery: the motorhome's groundbreaking engineering, while brilliant, chained it to a dying era of big V8 power. Borrowed from the Oldsmobile Toronado, that 455 cubic inch engine delivered the torque for effortless cruising. But as emission standards tightened in 1977, GM swapped it for a smaller 403 V8 in the lineup. A move echoed in historical accounts of the Toronado's evolution. This wasn't just a tweak. It signaled GM's pivot away from thirsty powertrains, leaving the motorhome's heavy-duty needs mismatched and unsupported. Insiders at the time, as detailed in enthusiast retrospectives, whispered about how the unique drivetrain became a logistical nightmare, with parts shared from a shrinking segment of GM's fleet. What fans saw as innovation, GM viewed as a costly outlier, draining resources better spent on fuel-sipping compacts like the Chevette. And here's what most missed. Production at the Pontiac plant wasn't just competing for space, it was outright sacrificed for high-volume trucks. A decision rooted in GM's segmented bureaucracy, where the motorhome division lacked the muscle to fight back. The deeper flaw exposed, but it gets even worse. With the second revelation, the 1979 oil crisis wasn't the killer. It was the Iranian Revolution's fuel shortages that amplified a deeper flaw in GM's strategy. While the motorhome averaged 10 to 12 miles per gallon, thanks to its aerodynamic fiberglass body and lightweight aluminum frame, consumers panicked at gas lines, ditching big vehicles for compact alternatives. As reported in period analyses, RV sales plummeted, And GM's in-house commitment made it inflexible compared to third-party builders who could pivot quickly. This reframes the narrative. GM didn't just enter the market, they overcommitted to a premium, integrated vision that couldn't weather the storm, with internal priorities shifting to core autos amid Japanese and German competition. The third truth hits hardest: the motorhome's futuristic appeal masked a profit problem, despite selling nearly 13,000 units. Its niche status and reliance on upfitters for custom interiors, like the vibrant Palm Beach or earthy Eleganza, eroded margins, as GM's own trim packages couldn't scale against cheaper, boxy rivals. Storm clouds of consequences now. The consequences stack up like storm clouds over an open road. First, the abrupt 1978 shutdown shattered owner dreams, leaving a loyal community scrambling for parts and forming clubs like GMC Motorhomes International to keep the flame alive through rallies and shared restorations. This wasn't just a product, and it orphaned a lifestyle, with families who logged 100,000 miles in their rolling retreats suddenly facing scarcity. Second, GM's retreat mirrored broader industry retrenchment. Setting back RV innovation for decades, modern motorhomes still chase the GMC's ride quality and modular flexibility. But without GM's scale, progress slowed. Third, the stakes hit. Reputation's hard. GM's bold leap into RVs became a cautionary tale of hubris, damaging trust as enthusiasts mourned what could have been a dynasty. Fourth, on a personal level, it fueled emotional fallout. Toners in interviews, like that 1996 Testament calling it a member of the family, felt betrayed, turning nostalgia into a thriving restoration scene where vintage fabrics and shag carpets preserve the 70s spirit, but at a cost of time and treasure. Data's different tale. The data tells a different story, though amplifying the urgency. With only 12,921 units built, collector value soared, yet the discontinuation foreshadowed GM's struggles in the 80s, where similar missteps, inefficiency, cost market share. If this pattern held, the motorhome's end could have unraveled seasons of dominance, much like a team fumbling a championship lead. And then the silence said everything. GM announced the halt quietly, letting parts linger through 1979. But the void echoed in pop culture, where the sleek silhouette faded from ads and screens. Lingering unresolved questions. This was just the beginning of a legacy that rolls on, but it leaves us pondering unresolved questions that feel alive even now. What if GM had doubled down on the motorhomes ahead of its time? Features like the dual AC and low floor design, could it have pioneered hybrid tech decades early? And here's the big one. Was the motorhome's discontinuation a failure of vision, or a victim of timing, forcing us to wonder if true innovation always fights an uphill battle? Finally, with modern upgrades like solar panels and electric conversions breathing new life into these classics, could a revival spark from enthusiast passion alone? Echoes of legends as the highway stretches into the sunset. The GMC Motorhome reminds us that some legends burn bright but brief, leaving echoes of what could have been. Was it truly the best ever built, 30 years ahead and still wowing today? Drop your thoughts in the comments, share your theories on why it ended, or if you've driven one, tell us your road stories. Hit subscribe for more deep dives into forgotten icons, and let's keep the conversation rolling. The journey's far from over.